Now that we have the kitchen floor put together and protected, it's time for us to move on to the secondary bedroom. We have the first one already done and protected. Today we'll begin this room. Now, starting this flooring job, flooring that we're going to be used here has an attached underlayment. Kind of looks like this, it's almost like a thin layer of black neoprene. But it gives it the cushion that it needs underneath it. Looks pretty good when it's all said and done. These are 6 inches trim up thick at 36 inches long. So I will be measuring it out and marking 6 inches and 7 inches. And then I'm going to snap the lines and check for square. And then I'll have a line to guide me as I go as well. 6 inches and 7 inches. Let's do the same for this one. 6 inches, 7 inches. 6 inches and 7 inches. Right there. 6 inches, 7 inches. Where our 6 and 6 intersect and our 7 and 7. 6 inches, 7 inches. 6 inches, 7 inches.
Now is when we set up the chalk line and snap these lines to make sure that our flooring planks are square with the room.
Now we're going to come up here with this square. Aligned that side, the T-square, along with that line, to see if it would square up on this side, which it shows it's split right down the middle. So that looks pretty good. Now we'll check the other side. Splits that 7-inch line. One is also splitting this 7-inch line. Floor being level and clean, we're good to start laying out our first row along the wall, and we can start working our way out. So everything we'll need for the job: vinyl plank cutter, tape measure, tapping block, flooring hammer, whisk to keep all of the dust and debris clear. Our wall spacers here, those are very pertinent, because when we lay these out, you set this down like so, and you can slide it up to the wall and it keeps that gap. This way you have room for thermal expansion. This first row is most important. We set a spacer here, a spacer there, and 3 different spots, just to kind of see how it lines up. Then we will continue on and lay the rest of the row out. I like to make sure that the side here and here versus you can see how wide that is. This side and this side, and they meet. That's where I like to start and work my way out. Bringing this end up, setting this end inside of that channel, and then lining up that back side and this side, and making sure that they're as close as they possibly can be. And then we'll bring it down. And that's it. We slap a spacer there, a spacer down on this other end here, and help. Okay. Bring this channel down and bring it back down. Alright, pushing this way. We're tight up against that wall on that spacer down there. Looking good. Figure out how long of a piece we need here. We just measure up off of the wall. Then we come right to this part right here, the very edge of the flooring itself. That'll allow you to have a little bit of a gap down on the end, so that way you can get it pounded in like 14 and 9/16 to the saw. And we will measure off of this end from in the crevice, not from the edge of the flooring. And then we'll make our mark. So then this would sit right in that channel. Line up the edges and as perfect as we can. Up and down. And look at that. Leaves us a small gap. If we take this here and put it right there, it is snug. So it doesn't get any better than that. What I like to do is a stagger row. 36-inch piece. We will go 9 inches for our next one, make a mark. 9 inches over for our next one, make a mark. 9 inches over for our next one, make a mark. And each one of those will ensure that all of our seams stay apart from each other. Go ahead and 9 inches, mark 9 here. Set that here. And mark 18 this time. Is that 9 times 2? I should cut it right now. And then measure out 27. 9 times 3, 27. Now that we've made those cuts, remember to bring back the pieces where the narrow at the end here is cut off. Because that's going to go against that wall and won't be needed, whereas this end gets built off of. So this piece will end up going here. And then this piece, and that piece. Just take this, set it inside the channel on the side of the plank, slide it down, and try to make sure that these two lines down here on the end remain flush with each other so you have the same gap. You can always take and put one of these blocks on there right now and just kind of put it up against the wall, lower it, and we'll kind of push a little down and in that direction, and then just kind of pound down along the length of the seam. Go to the next one right away. It should set in there just as nice as the other one did. Drops right in, and then we kind of hold it at that 30-degree angle and line the end of it up with the rest of these until you're satisfied with where you're at. That'll more than likely be hanging off the ground a little bit, which is why you're gonna push in and down at the same time, and it'll flatten right back out. And you can continue to do the same till this first staggered row is done. There we have the beginning of the floor in this room. Now the trick is starting this next row. We'll need a full plank, and we'll start it along the channel and work our way in. So now as our next step, we got this piece sitting at this 30-degree angle, run all along the channel of these planks here, and we're gonna slide it down until you get really close. Like that close. Say maybe 1/2 millimeter. Make sure we're lined up all the way down on that seam in that channel. Push down and inward, sort of like this, and then you're gonna get all along this line. Now that's mostly flat on the bottom. What I like to do then is I take a putty knife and I go under this side, kind of wedge it up a bit to match the seam on this side. So this way I can focus all my attention on this end, way down here. I'm gonna do down there is I'm gonna take this tapping block and I'm gonna set it on the end, and I'm going to be pushing down while also hitting that way, so that way the plank runs along this channel here. Do so like this, hold it down and pop it over. Look at how much that seam is drawn in already. Let's go. Just a little bit more to go. We'll give her another good whack. Look at that. It's drawn in. Make sure she's in there good. And you're golden. We can go ahead and set another plank up. And then we can take a measurement and find out what that final distance will be. For right now, we'll go ahead and get the next full plank in. So measure it up off of the wall and then up to the edge Looks like it's gonna be 23 3/4. All right, so now we're ready to put in this last piece. Set it down on that channel. Looks nice. Push this down and in. Just like so. But now, in order to get this gap over, we'll still put this in here to wedge it a bit. Now we need this neat little flooring tool. This does is place this tool here between the wall and the vinyl plank. We hit right here with the hammer and it will drive the plank into that gap. Draw a little bit. Just fill in the rows as we go and follow that staggered pattern as we have it, and we won't have to worry about any of our seams running into each other. Now, as I'm nearing the end of things, I get to the doorway. And it appears that we're going to have to start the cutouts. We know that this is the narrow edge and this is also the narrow edge. So we're facing the right direction. I'll butt it up against the wall here and check where I am with the door frame. It appears that I am past the doorway by 1 3/8. 1 3/8, I'm going to want to chop that off of the other side. This way I can be flush with the door frames there and move on to the next piece with little difficulty. 1 3/8. 1 3/8. Alright, I chopped 1 3/8 off the end. So now that one I'm up against the wall there. I'm right where I want to be on this end. So now I'll put a mark here for where flooring comes out to. Line this up where it would be if it were installed. Right there. And I'll mark a line right here. And now all I gotta do is join these two lines. Cut that out. I should be able to plop that piece right in. So let's get it lined up where we want. Look at that. Perfect fit. Our next piece will go here. I want to line up where it is positioned down here so that way we can mark the end of the drywall here. Not this, because we're gonna cut this out so that way we can slide this underneath this frame. And then, just like this, line it up by where it would sit. You just wrap it in a notch. And so we can put it right there. Alright, now we have our positioning lines. We just bring this over, and we'll cut that out. And then we'll be able to put that piece in next. I'd like to grab a piece of drop cloth, and we'll go ahead and we'll use this oscillating tool to cut this out. This way we can slide our plank right underneath the frame. That was fun. I'll do the same thing to the other side right away. Yay! Success! Look at that. Look at it. Alright. Underneath the frame. Now we just gotta match out for that piece there. And we'll put our next piece. Nice, we'll get on a full piece before we get cut out. All we gotta do is drop this in, like so.